Alright, welcome to the bottom of the Webcomics Iceberg. It's been quite a ride full of furries, degenerates, MS Paint, and some genuinely good ones. As always, we start off each tier with any corrections or addendums to the previous one, and we have only one this time. Drunk Duck is an older webcomic site that now just goes by The Duck. Shout out to the comments section. Everything else I said in the prior tier was absolute 100% fact, especially when I said that War Mage was even worse than Sonichu. That was 100% true. Now that that's out of the way, on with the show. Kit and Kay Boodle. Wikifur. Alright. This one is by artist Richard Catellis and started in 2001. It ran till 2016 and has been on hiatus ever since. Guess he abandoned it, but after 15 years? I don't know, there's probably more to that story. And well, it's smut. Straight out the gate with an NSFW comic. A furry NSFW comic. Great. Synopsis? Sure. Quote, Kit and Kay Boodle are two foxes from Yifburg, the yiffiest place on earth, a utopian city where nudity and sex in public are not only legal, but they are considered normal and encouraged. The comic follows their adventures. Originally, most of the comic's adventures around sex as a goal, but in more recent years, the storylines have become rather complex with deeper meanings. Well, it's a Gooner furry comic. Once again, I don't get the furry thing, but we try to be fair here. Let's give it a read and get the first impressions going. And well, okay, so I literally can't show you a single page of this comic, as there are female nipples and genitals on every single page, due to the characters being animals, and, well, yeah, animals don't wear clothes. So, the two main characters, Kit and Kay, are a couple. The first story arc has them fall into a sinkhole in which Kit, I shit you not, uses his ejaculant to launch Kay out of the hole and have her pull him up. You know, that was so absurd I just had to laugh about it, but I don't think I can handle 15 years worth of this. That's it, I just had to stop right there. The art's actually pretty solid, kind of like Disney 2D animation-esque colors added in the second storyline. I mean, hey, if you're a furry gooner, like, here's one for you. Not for me, though. Reviews? Why, yes, a few. Here's an archive description from TV Tropes, quote, Kit and Kay Boodle, a furry webcomic that basically revolves around sex. No, really. Sex is treated as a civic duty in the comic's fictional town. One particular storyline has two characters getting it on, while the girl's mother masturbates to it. This troper confesses to considering Kay and Kay a guilty pleasure, up until A, the title characters become avatars to the gods of Yif. The gods of Yif, are you fucking kidding me? And B, a filler arc had the artist and his real-life girlfriend's personas watching their parents, his dad, her mom, go at it. I'm sorry, what was that last part? Let's try another one. Okay, one from Bad Webcomics Wiki. All reliable, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Quote, I catch a lot of trains during the week, usually pretty fucking busy ones, and there's all sorts of people on trains. Arguing couples, cackling women, weird old men, annoying kids that kick the back of your chair. Can you imagine the sheer fucking horror of being on the train with all those god-awful annoying strangers and the whole lot of you being naked? Because if that sounds hot to you, you have a serious goddamn problem. No sane person would surely want to live in Yifburg. I am shocked the entire population isn't dead or miserable already, since there's not a single condom in this place, and while those boinkberries might work as contraceptives... I'm sorry, boinkberries? What? Fucking boinkberries? Excuse me? Alright, back to reading. And while those boinkberries might work as contraceptives, I didn't see a thing in the description about them magically protecting you from STDs. No sane person wants to be on a train, naked, while a middle-aged couple have messy sex on the seat opposite them. This place is the stuff of nightmares. I am shocked that a webcomic like this is still going, because I genuinely have no idea who this appeals to. The cute art might appeal to younger viewers, but the constant sex means that's a definite no. The constant sex might appeal to the usual lonely furry crowd, but surely Kit and Kay's fat toddler-esque anatomy puts them off too. I can only guess that there might be a team of psychologists somewhere marveling at this stuff, unable to comprehend what the hell is going on in Mr. Catellis' depraved mind. It should be noted that Richard Catellis' artwork is identical with that of the late Albert Temple of Gene Catlow fame. It turns out there was a reason for it. Richard Catellis was simply a pseudonym used by Mr. Temple himself, and furthermore, his supposed female friend Catswhisker turned out to be nothing more than a fictional sock puppet. Just as the equally late Jim Hardyman's supposed black female friend Desiree Lee also proved to be non-existent. I admit I thought that gray muzzle of Tina Story's infamy was guilty of the same sin, but he told the world he did have a real wife. Well, looks like we got a bit of a lore dump at the end of that review there. Those comics with a lot of real-life lore are always more interesting to cover, but it looks like we got like a 6 degrees of separation kind of thing going on here, and I don't know, man. People that make these kinds of comics, they can actually get wives. Hey, maybe there's hope for me yet. But we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, we're going to move on to Latex Blue. Well, hello again, Bad Webcomics Wiki. I really gotta get around to giving this site a dedicated video from one Gooner comic to another, and, well, the comic itself is mostly lost media as it seems. I go on the site, everything's there but the actual damn comic. For my research, this is by an artist using the alias Dragonfly. Latex Blue seemed to be a furry Gooner comic of the highest order of degeneracy. A few of the samples I found made reference to self-cannibalization and, well, sibling, intimacy. Yeah. Well, in that case, just to give you the gist of what the story's about, I'm going to be a lazy piece of shit and read the Bad Webcomics Wiki verbatim. Why? Because I honestly don't want to research this filth further. I'm all for you doing you, kinks and all, but we're approaching illegal territory. Territory that is illegal for a reason. Sure, some might say it's just a drawing, bro, which, yes, it is, obviously, but it's still gross. So, from the Bad Webcomics Wiki, quote, "Some poor bitch named Laura, made from cloth. The reason behind this actually gets explained is in some bizarre fantasy land disconnected from her body. An animate blue balloon in the shape of a cat/person named Iris picks up the head and brings it home to her master, a sadistic rabbit named Alex, who is also made of cloth for some reason and lives in a dragon called Mr. Castle." You are reading that correctly. That's the start anyway. But the madness has just begun. While Iris and Alex torture Laura's head, 2 anthro-skunks joined at the tail find her buddy. The actual line is, "How fortunate, let us..." Word I can't say on YouTube it. Yeah. Are they deranged? Look at this picture and tell me. The Dragon Castle gets shot in the wing while flying and crashes near a town, the town of Pain. Everyone in the comic refers to it as such, is a place where masturbation is punished with flogging, and everyone is masturbating. They stop at a tavern called the Throbbing Cock, where... Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Where they encounter the 4th main character, Ken. Ken has a cybernetic arm. I don't know if this is ever explained, not that it would really matter for this comic. At one point, the comic explains that the world is donut-shaped, more or less, and turns itself inside out constantly, thus creating the day-night cycle, explaining pointless details while ignoring any that might have an impact on the plot is what this webcomic specializes in. Well, that and horrible imagery. The inn is run by a horse named Silver who trades food and drink for dignity. After the local law enforcement arrives to shut the place down for reasons unknown, Alex takes Silver as a slave shortly before he is captured and brought to the person in charge of this freak fest of a town. Silver attempts to stop this only to end up hanging off a bridge by his penis, which he must keep erect or he will fall to his death. Iris has already been kidnapped, so she throws Laura's head out of the wagon, carting her off. And so ends Chapter 2. I won't continue, and I should hope you understand why. Yeah, nasty stuff. Getting flashbacks to the edginess of Jack. Reviews? Nah. Can't be bothered to click on page 2 of a Google search for this one. Edgelord degeneracy with a plot more convoluted than a really convoluted thing. Next. Banana Cream Cake. Alright, this one's by Transmorpher DDS over on Comic Fury, and they got a little synopsis here. Let's see what it's all about. Quote, "A sexy futanari story with a futa baker and her sexual misadventures." Yeah, I don't want to read this. The, futa genre, not really my vibe. Linkara would love this one, though. It's me, the Lightbringer. Alright, we'll read a little bit. Okay, so we open up with a non-con scene of a monster forcing her, his, they, them, gotta say them all so we don't get canceled, pee-pee on someone. Yeah, I'm done. Immediately. Sorry, not sorry. Not for me. Might be for you if you read this kind of stuff. I much prefer consent in my spicy comics, but that's just me. Artwork? Hard to look at, but pretty well done for what it is. I can't show a single panel here, though. Censoring it would make the screen entirely black. So yeah, reviews? Well, looking up reviews for banana cream cake, you can imagine getting reviews of the food, so that's a no-go. Look, it's just not for me, okay? You know, if you're curious or into this stuff, hey, here's one for you. Next. Carnivores. Alright, still on Comic Fury. This one is by user Austin Wolfclaw. The synopsis, quote, a Vor webcomic drawn by Austin Wolfclaw, formerly hosted on Comic Genesis. Comic is split into various story arcs, each telling a different story. Carnivores is not affiliated with the PC game of the same title or its developer Action Forms Ltd. Okay, Vor. Another fetish comic. I do wonder why there's so much overlap between furries and these niche internet fetishes that no one's heard of until the creation of DeviantArt, but I don't know. That's just a thought. Let's try to put aside biases and give this a fair shot, you know? I mean, hey, I always try to give everything a fair shot. I even gave one to the aforementioned Fuda R-Word comic before. Well, let's check it out. And, well, it starts with the author drawing himself getting eaten by animals. Hell of a start. The writer's barely disguised fetish meme goes here. Actually, just drop the barely disguised from it. Alright, so the comic is about the animals eating. And they're drawn as animals, not furry people. You know, Vor, big stomach, average DeviantArt post, nothing special. Art's pretty rough, looking like it was made in MS Paint. There's also a stroke applied to the text that absolutely does not need to be there and makes it harder to read. My graphic design background is in tears. Strokes are to stylize, not to visualize. Anyway, the story's not that engaging. It's kind of boring. I just want to get this tier over with if you haven't noticed yet. Reviews? I could read the Bad Webcomics Wiki once more, but I think it's best if I just move on and we all just forgot this comic ever happened. Alright, what's next? U.S. Angel Corpse. Alright, let me see what this one is about.
A few moments later.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you?
I'm not even sure if I can cover this one on YouTube. Well, one thing about this that I think is a good thing is that it is partially lost media. So, yay. Now, why is it a good thing that it's lost media? Well, dear viewer, let me tell you. But I must warn you, I probably just put a big-ass NSFW warning on the thumbnail for a reason. So, U.S. Angel Corpse is a webcomic by David Cheung. That's C-H-E-U-N-G. By the way, holy shit, did he put his real name on this? Anyway, you want a synopsis? Are you sure? Okay. But before I do, I should note that the Bad Webcomics Wiki, which is actually where you can still find some of this comic, has a cute little thing that they do on certain comics. They'll put a warning if something contains a rather unsettling style of art, adult content, or if the creator's extremely abrasive and uncouth online, as well as other things. U.S. Angel Corpse has every single one I've ever seen in my time on the site. Every single one. Even ones that I didn't know about before. The short version is that it is what one would call erogoro. Now, this genre of art originated in Japan and is actually called erogoro nansetsu. Nihongo Jozu, right? Which translates roughly to erotic grotesque nonsense. And I would argue that there's some merit to it. However, usually these old artworks out of the Far East do not depict, well, let's just say, forced acts for the sake of YouTube. The gore, the eroticism, don't care about that. It's just the glorification of non-consensual activities that I got a beef with, you know? But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get the synopsis read. U.S. Angel Corps ran from 2010 to 2015. At some point, Chung removed it. Too bad the internet is forever. Well, mostly forever in this case. From the Bad Webcomics Wiki, quote, U.S. Angel Corps is easily the worst comic I have ever seen. It's disgusting, immoral, and misogynistic in the extreme. I mean, I reviewed a comic featuring Jesus getting what? I gotta see what that's about. Okay. But I have never seen a more offensive comic. This is, by far, the most sickening thing to ever dishonor the already tarnished word webcomic. Now, it's one thing if you're just trolling your comic is meant to offend, as is the case with Electric which is on the bottom of this video. For example, don't click on that. Oh, I gotta, sorry. But it's worse when you fail to realize or care about just how repugnant your comic is. The thing about this comic is that it was made to make money by capitalizing on the disgusting fetishes of a repulsive niche audience, and creator David Chung doesn't seem to care as long as he makes a little money. The comic is commission-based, which is to say that Chung only draws it when people give him money, which, unfortunately, some people do. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make a little money off your work unless, of course, this is what you're selling. End quote. The plot, if you can call it a plot, is that there's a secret military organization that recruits young women, very young women, to do missions, and they always fail and end up in a non-consensual situation, usually ending with death. So yeah, it's fetish fuel for those that enjoy non-con in the long and short of it. The worst part is that it's commission-based, so there's a network of degenerates that fetishize this kind of thing. And I should reiterate, having come across and covered some fetish artworks and comics on the channel, I don't care what your kinks are, you know? As long as things are sanitary, legal, and consensual, get freaky. I don't really give a fuck. But this one, yeah, no. The second worst part, aside from the network of people that are actually into this kind of thing, is that the art is actually pretty technically well executed. And it should be noted, the artist David Chung, who I still can't believe used his real name, or a name that sounds pretty damn real, has a history of drawing, well, let's just say, not good stuff for the sake of YouTube. A Shadman-esque history, one might say. Reviews? Fuck that. David Chung's reaction to being featured on the Bad Webcomics Wiki multiple times? Hell yeah. Quote, the creator of U.S. Angel Corps, David Chung, has a history of poorly handling criticism. In the past, he had tried to vandalize the John Solomon article on Encyclopedia Dramatica, where he's mentioned after he had made claims to not be caring about being reviewed on his blog. Later, he snapped at the owner of the webcomic Overlook for saying that he deserved that review, and finally, the article about U.S. Angel Corps on TV tropes was deleted, and it's safe to assume it was due to complaints made by him. With our site, he had a real drama. Back when we were on Wikidot and soon after a review of USAC was added to the index, suddenly all reviews of Dave's comics were removed for TOS violations. Since Dave has a track record of doing this sort of thing, and since we can't think of anyone else who would have any motivation to defend David Chung's reputation besides David Chung himself, we believe Dave was the only person smart enough to complain to the actual administration of Wikidot instead of doing what most people did, which was sending abuse reports directly to the wiki, which our admins would read, laugh at, and ignore. To remedy this, after BWW was shut down on Wikidot and before being moved to this new host, we contacted the owner of ShoutWiki to make sure these kinds of problems would not repeat themselves. As a special precaution, admin Oddguy contacted them again prior to restoring these reviews to inform them that Dave will inevitably contact them to make fictitious threats of litigation that was assured that it should not be a problem. So, now that the reviews will stay where they are and we eagerly await Dave's return, in the case reviews ever get deleted again, there are multiple copies of every single one readily available in the links at the bottom of this Encyclopedia Dramatica article. So he bitched out so much that they entirely restructured their thing. That's wild. So basically, this guy got mad at people at the Bad Webcomics Wiki for saying is bad. Okay. I think we need to move on. Hopefully the next one isn't crossing the line of acceptable degeneracy for me. What's acceptable degeneracy? Honestly, just not glorifying illegal stuff like the U.S. Angel Corps. That's it for me, really. Anyway, next comic. Billy the Heretic. Oh, hey. That one was actually brought up on the Bad Webcomics Wiki in the last entry. The author said it's tied with Sonichu for the worst webcomic ever. The author must not have read War Mage. Let's take a look. Oh, fuck. Alright, we got a political extremist comic to look at. It's also tiresome. Now, when I see something labeled as, quote, alt-right or white nationalist or white supremacist, my mind always goes to the notion that the people on the other extreme end of the spectrum will literally call anything that goes against their ideology that. But this one comes from a website called Stormfront, a legitimately known and recognized white supremacist news site. So I guess this really is what they say it is. Having said that, who made it? There will be 2 users going by the aliases Numenorion and J. Kildare. Pussies. Say what you will about David Chung's work, but the dude was ballsy enough to put what I think is his real name on it. Anyway, enough about the fetish necrophilia comic. On with the white supremacist comic. That is a sentence I just said. Okay. Here's the synopsis from TV Tropes. Quote, Billy the Heretic is an infamous webcomic. That sounds familiar. Purporting to be an autobiographical account of a white African boy who was adopted by a family of Jews. Let's put it this way. Instead of linking to a few other webcomics, it links to the infamous white supremacist website Stormfront. The creator has described it as the white nationalist Dilbert. I don't want to read this, but I must. For content. And we're actually in luck. This is partially lost media. The kind of lost media that should stay lost. This comic started in 2008, and who knows or even cares how long it ran. Turns out at a certain point in 2023, the site went offline and GoDaddy put the domain name up for sale. It'd be really funny if someone bought it and just posted a still frame of the buff Jew from the first ever Family Guy cutaway. I think that would be really, really funny. You got disposable income and you want to do something funny. I mean, anyway, looking at a few of the remaining strips, it's basically just the creators hating Jewish and black people. Oh, and the gays. Can't forget the gays. Pretty much what you expect from Stormfront readers. Honestly, despite its content obviously being ridiculously extremist to the point where it flips over to just being something absurd to laugh at, it's kind of a fucked up breath of fresh air between all these extreme gooner comics. The art is what I define as acceptable. It's in black and white and it's legible. Characters are consistent. Obviously a lot of Jewish characters with disproportionately long pointy noses. The word balloon placement and typography is shit covered ass though. Like, this is so poorly laid out. I can't believe I've never seen poorly done meme edits of it. Fuck it, let me do one right now. Mom, something's been bothering me lately. What? This. Whatever bothering my son, come out and face me. There's a Deicide album cover on our front lawn. Fucking sick, dude. Okay, I don't know. Too bad those cheap fucks use AI on their last one. Anyway, yeah, it's just kind of shit, to be honest. Rule number 1 of propaganda is that it needs to, at the very least, be well executed. This is not. This is just stupid. Alright, what's next? 2 babies, 1 fox. No. No, 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 no. No, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. GoatHead. Oh wow, I think we may actually have a legitimate breather in this tier. We're heading to Tapas for this one, because for some reason its own website doesn't have a synopsis, or even the author's name. So this one is by Miles John, and the synopsis is as follows. Quote, the mild-mannered GoatHead and his eccentric cohorts get up to all sorts of mischief in this bi-weekly webcomic full of laughs, lessons, and liverwurst hoagies. Okay, sounds like a simple comedy. Let's check it out. And it's a perfectly fine, absurdist comedy comic. The art's solid enough. It's got a style to it, you know. Kind of reminds me of that show Home Movies that I've never watched, but I've seen people saying how great it was if I were to compare it to something. Might get around to watching that at some point. Later comic show Much Improvement. The jokes, depends on your sense of humor. Kind of has that, like, lol so random style that's not really my scene. I mean, what can I say? I just like dark comedy the best. It's alright, I guess. Reviews? None. Guess I'm the first one. And my review is... I mean, it's alright. But honestly, in this tier sandwich between all these demonic abominations, I feel like Spider the Yandere put it here as a bit of a reprieve between nightmares. So, thank you, Spider the Yandere. I hope you're doing well. I guess it's time to move on. Kaiju Believe. Unfortunately, we have a case of some serious lost media here. Some of the previous entries have only been partially lost media, but Kaiju Believe is looking to be lost entirely. I did find the author themselves posting on TV Tropes looking for feedback on it, so let's look at the posts. So Boxcar Jakey says, hey people, Linkcar here. As you know, I created a webcomic of my own called Kaiju Believe. It can be found here. No, it can't. It was originally my take on the Pokemon collect and battle monster genre, which later escalated as a mix of Dot Hack, Frog Raccoon, Strawberry, Mega Man, Fairy Tail, and more. The main star, Chase Catsup, is very random. There's no rhyme or reason to anything he does. His best friend Simon has a secret of his own. Originally, I wanted to focus on the characters, and the issues shown here were very derivative. I received advice from B.A. Devin Mack on how to make the characters better. He even contributed to an issue idea. But overall, it's pretty funny, and wait for the future issues on how the Kaiju Bishnash started, as well as more Kaiju creatures. I like some feedback. I was actually hoping to create a TV trope page for it. Are webcomics with the page made because they're uber popular, or can creators make one for themselves? I'm confused. Thank you. Actually, that is a good question. I do wonder if creators can make their own webcomic pages. Put Doomsayer on it and have people tear it apart. That'd be great. Clicking through the username, Boxcar JKey, which sounds kind of familiar actually. I'll have to see if this user left a review on one of the other entries. There's nothing. I put the URL in the Wayback Machine. Nothing. I checked Google Images to see if I can get even a single piece of art from this. We have a problem. The word kaiju is extremely common in webcomics. There's a lot of dudes that like drawing big-ass monsters, myself included. Ass and monsters. We got Kaiju Days, Twisted Kaiju Theater, Kaiju Number 8, Kaiju Run, No Kaiju Believe. This sounded kind of interesting too. So if you come across it, you know what? Send it to the email I use for the DeviantArt submissions that I'll put on screen now. Actually, you want to send any kind of email to me, send it to that one. Be it content suggestions, fan arts, which you can also post on the Discord. Check out this fan art right here that I got just recently. Isn't this pretty sick, right? Love the art style. It's really good. It's got this like angular but soft like vibe to it. Awesome work. Shout out to Manlick here. I mean, maybe it's just Man LC. Manlick. Or send in found media I can't find, or like I set it up for, DeviantArt finds. I definitely need more of those for future episodes because you guys like that series, but like I need more content. Anyway, for now, that's the tale of John not being able to find Kaiju Believe. Next comic. Garotasfofas. Well, guess what, guys? We have another problem. This comic is in Portuguese. If it was in Spanish, no problem. I can read that. But Portuguese is a language that makes you think it's Spanish, but it's not. Let me see if I can decipher it at all, because it's a little bit similar. From the site, Sobre Garotasfofas es un web cuadrinho satírico de comedia creado por Matt Skyder que es actualizado desde 2015. First of all, Matt Skyder, that's like the whitest name ever, dude. Secondly, I'm pretty sure it says something along the lines of, this is a satirical comedy webcomic created by Matt Skyder in 2015. Portuguese is similar to Spanish, but when you start reading paragraphs and you'll go, wait, no it isn't. I should note that when I typed this into Google, I also got a bunch of photos of e-girls, specifically e-girls. The title when I typed into Google Translate actually means cute girls. Wow, great title. Not going to make it hard to find someday and confuse a webcomic reviewer or YouTuber. There is currently no English translation or Spanish translation that I could find. If it had a Spanish translation, I could have done a bit of legwork, you know? So I can't really review the story. Looking at it, the art's really cartoony, but kind of stiff. The characters seem to always be in a 3/4 view, and there's a lot of text. Not to like Sonichu level, but enough where I'm like, yo, you need to do a bit of editing on this, you know? So, are the girls cute? Well, nah, not really. Next. Hot Mess 2020. Oh yeah, 2020 was definitely a hot mess, for lack of a better phrase. Okay, so there's a few comics called Hot Mess, which is why I think Spider the Yandere specified the year, but I think I found the right one. And to Webtoon for this one. This is by Zodi X, and as the title implies, started in 2020. Synopsis, quote, slice of life comic about some 20-something gay twink looking to make it in the harsh straight world. Beware, puns and dirty jokes ahead, new comics every week. I don't think I'm going to like this one, but we'll give it a shot, you know. Luckily, being on Webtoon, it can't be super degenerate like a lot of the other entries on this tier, so maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. And well, it's a gag strip. Few panels, set up punchline, standard stuff. As the description reads, well, sorry to say it in this way, but yeah, it's pretty gay. But like not in that like two men touching tips kind of way, more in like that James Charles yes queen girl slay kind of way. I guess I could say flamboyant would be a good descriptor. It's fine, inoffensive. If you like that Yas Queen kind of vibe, you might like this one. The art's decent enough, black and white, cartoony, fine. It's just fine. As for reviews, the comments on the webtoon post seem to be favorable. It's just not for me, target demographic thing. I should note that I also found another webcomic called Hot Mess as well that started in 2010 that's only traced as a bad webcomics wiki page. It seemed like that was a bland slice of life. It also seems like it's lost media. Again with the lost media. Why are there so many lost comics on here? You know what? You know what's bullshit? Lost webcomics. I go to do this iceberg video reviewing all these webcomics, hunting them down on the innards of the internet. I say I will get to every one of them. I get down to the bottom and have to sift through necrophilia and white supremacy. But when it's just some blasé slice of life, it's nowhere to be found. I look and look, clicking through Google search after Google search. Oh, but fuck you, Google Gemini, the shittiest AI on the planet, does it once you find in content made by humans. Actually, what the hell happened to search engines? Why do these big tech companies incorporate their brain-dead AI to fuck up results and spread deliberate misinformation? Google doesn't function like it used to, and the fucking bots on social media sites. I guarantee you somewhere in the comments section of this video there will be some random account with an ass pic saying, well, I really look forward to seeing your content, or some shit like that does nothing but drown out the real humans. Oh, and the aforementioned ass pic isn't even a good ass pic. It's AI. Fuck that. I like broads with crow's feet, bush, and goddamn cellulite all over their thighs. Women, not these plasticky AI generations of girls. Anyway, I keep searching and searching. I find old reviews of said webcomics with no links to them. People say it's the worst thing ever made, but how do I know? I gotta read the damn thing. Is it really the worst? Bitch, have you even read Bench Tales, War Mage, or Moon Over fucking June? I don't think so. Goddamn poser. The gooner from Mars over here saying, The Lightbringer is the worst webcomic ever. Seriously? Fucking amateur. I see links in these comments. I put them in the Wayback Machine. I wait. The Internet Archive does nothing but tell me to go fuck myself. Look, man, just because something is considered bad art doesn't mean it should be destroyed. I get it if it's something like Bench Tales, which should have never even been created in the first place, but a generic slice of life that's just poorly done? Come on. Look, man, someone made that. A person made that. That was their art, and art should be seen. But it can't be seen if it's lost media, and that is bullshit. Next comic. Her Descent. Alright, back over to Comic Fury for this one. This is by user Aegis Saint Shadow Nerd. That is the edgiest fucking username I've ever seen. The synopsis? It's a fucking novel. Let's go. Quote. Following is pulled verbatim from a companion piece I wrote for the release of Volume 1. This is my one-shot. It is my only breath of fresh air before I dive deeply into the project Her Descent. It all started innocently enough. Once upon a time, I doodled a picture where I offhandedly made the claim that I would draw the Fupoko maid getting stoned on a playground. Stoned by, like, stones or, like, stoned by pot. I don't know. I didn't think anyone would notice or care, ever. This created a blind spot for me to play in. You see, in real life, I have a condition where I don't want to be seen because I feel like everyone that witnesses me increases my maddening body dysphoria / existential regret. If no one is watching, I can be as me as I want, as me as I feel. How liberating. If no one will ever notice or care, then I can say what I want no matter how silly or serious. I can say things the slightest inhibition would prevent. I can reference and cross-reference, go down multiple meta rabbit holes, weave metaphor into metaphor into metaphor, layer my terrors, and otherwise build a device to send everyone to hell, to paraphrase one of my Volpestic heroes, Gillas in this case. Such a device, at least in this prototype, is 100% effective as long as no one understands its true power and purpose. The device can be witnessed and still work. Ideally, it is a stone burner and will take the sight of those that encounter it. Lofty, I know. So since Her Descent is me metaphorically parading around in my yard naked, I feel like I should take a moment to demonstrate some of the peripheral in my effort, just in case. I don't know what I'm afraid of, but my mind is telling me to be afraid. 1, the Fupoko maid. I don't understand the character. I don't know the sex or gender of it. I don't know the species of it. There's hardly any pictures of it, but I like the character and the design of it. It is a mascot for an adult game production company I've liked for a while. I want to say the maid didn't originally exist. I can't be bothered to research it. The maid, who doesn't even have a name, poor thing, poor abandoned creation, is synonymous with the Fupoko brand to me. 2. Format and pitch. I thought it'd be funny if I made a base image to shitpost whatever. I can have Fupoko Made say anything, either wax philosophical, talk about fetishes, or just talk about slamming a case of Mountain Dew. I have currently unrealized plan for the base image, but that's kind of irrelevant. I doodled, crushed it, then touched up the elements I wanted to be smoother. Okay, not really sure what to make of that. I guess I'll just have to read the damn thing. And, well, this one's a bit odd. It's a series of repeated images with altered text that feel really non-sequitur-y. Feel really like non-sequitur and surrealist. The artwork is rough around the edges, maybe done in MS Paint, but has its own kind of unique style to it. As for the story, it doesn't really seem to have one. Seems to be a bit of a surrogate for the author to just share their thoughts with the world, which is fine, I guess. I don't know, I'm a little unsure about how to feel about this one. Reviews? Nope. It's just a bit strange, but you know what? More power to the author. On to the next one. Iron and Steel. Okay, so this is the last one for Tier 7. Still on Comic Fury, let's check out the handy-dandy webcomic description, class. Quote, this is an alternate universe take on Inspector Gadget. It mainly draws its base inspiration from the classic series, but does use bits from the other incarnates done over the years. Don't expect to know what this is from knowing the canon content. This is a more serious and elaborate take on the fandom. I highly suggest reading the backstories connected to the comic before reading it. That is the only way the characters and plot will make sense, total sense. This comic is updated every Tuesday and Saturday. Inspector Gadget? Well, this just got bumped up in the full video reviews, mainly so I can make a lot of brown bricks jokes. And no, I will not read the backstories related to it. It's fan fiction. I'm sorry, but there's just something about fan fiction that lowers my expectations to like Mariana's Trench level. Why? I don't know. Maybe, well, have you guys ever heard of Archive of Our Own, or AO3 as it's more commonly known? It's certainly a website of all time. But maybe that's for another time, maybe another video. Let's see if Inspector Gadget makes brown bricks with Minecraft. So it's got a cool custom UI. I like that. Gives me old internet vibes. This is one feature I really like about Comic Fury, is being able to code a bit on your webcomic sites. Anyway, how's the comic itself? Well, the layout's hard to follow, walls of text, art is, well, it's a bit remedial for lack of a better word, but there's something charming about art of this quality. You know, the creator is definitely trying in earnest. The story? Yeah, I think I'm going to have to check out those backstories for this. It's not doing it for me, and I didn't even see Inspector Gadget yet. Too busy with the brown bricks, I guess. Anyway, I'm just going to move on to the last tier. There really aren't any reviews for this, so hopefully we'll be able to find a gem by the end of the final tier, which we're going to start right now. Boston and Shaun. Oh boy. Not only did the Bad Webcomics Wiki show up once more, but so did something awful. Did I just step on another landmine full of content? Well, it's a feederism fetish comic. Oh boy. Anyway, trying to be objective, here's the synopsis from Wikifur, of all places. Quote, Boston and Shaun is a webcomic created by Shaun Reveal. His last name's Reveal. That's fucking stupid. Sorry to anybody with the surname Reveal, but really? Reveal? Anyway, the comic first appeared on the net on February 12th, 1997. Long one. And had been reinvented a number of times, most recently in 2005. Boston and Shaun features a continuous storyline. Strips usually consist of 3 cells, although the author has been known to experiment with different formats. Initial strips were in black and white, but most are in color. The comic has never had a consistent release schedule, while prior versions have had over 900 strips. There were only 5 updates in 2007, and it was gone without updates for 9 months as of September 2008. The main characters are the eponymous Boston and Shaun. Supporting characters include Shaun's parents and younger brother Donald, as well as Boston's parents and Shaun's classmates, teacher, and babysitter. So it ran from 97 to about 07. We got a crusty old one. Reading a bit, it's a slice of life comic about a boy and his pet dragon. Looking further into it, it's a front for the writer's barely disguised fetish. Getting a lot of use out of this meme in this particular video, huh? Let me read a few excerpts from the Something Awful post here. Quote, a dragon spreads his wing. By the end of year 1, Boston and Shaun, the esteemed artiste, had abandoned all hope of crafting 3-panel jokes and had moved on to obsessive fetish-like month-long story arcs about something called batting. Basically, Shaun would switch back and forth from being a boy to a dragon with no rhyme or reason, and when he was a dragon, all the other dragons would constantly feed him to make him fatter. Amazingly, the comics continue to make less and less sense with each installment. This strip should give you a good idea of where Boston and Shaun was heading at the end of year 1. All the ingredients are there. A couple of bloated dragons, vague references to a motivating problem, and the kind of expository dialogue that we have come to expect from things in the real world like cats, trees, and rocks. I believe that there is a joke in the strip, but I also believe that it is so removed from a normal human's thought process that it cannot possibly be comprehended with all of the science available to us. End quote. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. He added color eventually, and yes, Shaun the author and Shaun the character have the same name, spelled the same. Coincidence? Of course not. It's a wish fulfillment self-insert fetish comic, okay? I really don't feel like doing more research on this right now. Maybe some other day. Let's move on, for the love of God. Nivlek. You know what? I'm just going to read the descriptors for this one from the Bad Webcomics Wiki and call it a day. I won't subject you to it for much longer than that. Quote, webcomic name, Nivlek, author, Chris Farrington, start date, 2003, end date, 2012, genre, comedy gaming, defining flaw, 2 words, baby furs. Yeah, I'm not reading this. Sorry, not sorry. Next. I'm serious. After Bench Tales, never again. Ecchi Fitness. Okay, so I did find this one in full. Good. I'm starting to get tired of coming across lost media in this iceberg, and after having laid eyes upon the first page of this comic, perhaps it would have been best if this joined the scores of all the other lost comics. Then again, you people love to see me suffer, so let's soldier on. I'm still not reading that baby fur one. This one's by Ryan Stewart, a.k.a. Donkus, a.k.a. Eric the Goat R-Worder. According to the Bad Webcomics Wiki. I'm still waiting to see Doomsayer on there. Somebody troll me. That'd be funny. Getting trolled like that would make my day, man. Let me try to make this entry a lightning round. We'll go as fast as possible. I'm getting sick of these terrible comics. This is, as the title implies, an ecchi comic about a muscle mommy, okay? A muscle mommy that is Lovecraftian nightmare. For the uninitiated, or if I haven't defined it in previous entries, ecchi refers to the H in hentai, which I believe is a word I have to bleep for YouTube, maybe? In the Western lexicon, it simply means something along the lines of softcore gooner material. So there's usually no actual adult scenes, but a lot of stuff like cleavage and panty shots. Now, ecchi series usually have really good art. The saving grace and the reason why people check it out usually. Sometimes they can have rather weird and unconventional plots too, which is another part of their appeal, the more out there stories, but the art is what most people check it out for. And well, Ecchi Fitness has art that I can say, in a nice way I guess, certainly has a style. I don't know, there's like a creepy blob dude and it looks bad. Art, formatting, typography, layout, it's just bad. Next. Albert-aet's Monster Lover. So, this is just but it's that looks like it was drawn by a 5-year-old and is actually illegible. Like, nothing much else to it. Like, I literally can't read it. The creator, Alberto Peralma, must have just scanned in drawings. It's not good. I should note that this is not to be confused with another webcomic called Monster Lover, one created by Dumak. Yeah, that's right, the War Mage guy has another comic. Maybe I'll do a whole video on the Dumak verse. There's really not much to say for Albert-aet's Monster Lover. I mean, just look at it. Next, Reddie Newgrounds. So, this is a comic by Newgrounds user Beatster. It's got MS Paint style art, and it's hard to follow, making a lot of beginner mistakes. It's really not that notable. Based on the analytics of their Newgrounds page, Spider the Yandere may have been one of the only people to even see these. I don't know, I might have just left this one off the iceberg if I made the chart. Well, here's hoping Beatster will hone their craft and improve their skills. Not much else to say. Let's finish this. Electric... What a name. And well, we have a bit of a disappointing ending for you, but a great one for me. Once again, say it with me, class. It's partially lost media. I can't even verify who the author is. From what I've seen, I think the creator is someone named Eric Vaughn. Not a particularly searchable name. Then again, neither is mine. Punch me into the search bar and you'll get the CEO of Coca-Cola. From the remaining strips scattered online, which I just straight up can't show you despite the extremely crudely done artwork, it was made just to offend. It's an edgelord of the highest magnitude. It didn't make the author of Jack blush. There's poop, wee-wees, unaliving, and worst of all, children. Yeah, I've seen enough. It's garbage that's made to offend and nothing more. This isn't a case of it should stay lost, more a case of no one's gonna waste their time looking for this fucking shit. Garbage. What a way to end the show. Sorry to disappoint you. But it's not over yet. I asked you, dear viewers, to add suggestions below the very first video in this series for an inevitable bonus tier. Webcomics that are still infamous yet didn't make an appearance. Webcomics with creators that aren't playing with the full deck. Webcomics that might actually be a little good. We shall see what we have collected in the true finale of the Webcomics Iceberg when we look at the bonus tier. But until then, special thanks to Spider the Yandere for making the chart in the first place. Couldn't do it without you. A heartfelt thank you to Patreon supporters. Thank you guys. Appreciate your support over there. And most of all, thank you, dear viewer, for watching this video all the way to the end. I know it was a long one. Until next time.